Okay, so in this video we'll be building a call and save application. So here you'll be having two buttons. So one is call and the save button. So whenever you type any number using this dial pad, and when you click on call, you must be able to make a call. And yeah, and whenever you click on the save button, you must be able to save this number to your phone contact. So let's see the demo first. This is what the interface looks like. And now if I type any number, like, so I have typed this number, and when I click on this call button, so it basically comes here. So here you can see the uh, this is your like normal phone's dial pad. So it will redirect your data here, so that now you can easily click on this call button and you can make a call. So yeah, so next we'll see the save button. Now let's see the save button. So I have this number, and when I click on save, now when you click on the save contact, so it will be redirected to this page. So here you can see like the first name you have given it as, so we had given, so in the program I have given it as unknown, so it's coming as unknown. And then in the phone you can see the phone number which you have typed. So now you can either save or click on this add to existing contact. So from that you will be able to add it to your contact list. So let's see how we can do this. Okay, so let's start by creating this new project. So click on this empty activity, and then let's give it a name of and then once your project is successfully built, let's start by designing the UI first, and then we'll move to the main activity. So open this activity main, and here, okay, so here let me clear this out first. Okay, so let's first add this edit text, or else you can use this phone itself, so you are directly giving the number, right? So I'll place it here and then apply this constraint. Okay, so then you can place the buttons. Okay, for this you can open the blueprint also. Okay, so first we'll align all these three, and then we can proceed with the other buttons. So now what you can do is just select all this, then right click and use this chains and make it as create a horizontal chain. So yeah, so now you can see so these all these buttons are linked with each other. So now you can easily move all the three buttons at once. Okay, so after this, let's add a constraint. So you can directly add it here. Okay, so similarly, you have to place other buttons. So you can either copy this. So you can either just copy this. Okay, so similarly, you can place other buttons. So one second. Okay, so similarly, you can place other buttons. So either you can just copy and then paste. So I have selected this, so you can just right click and then copy, then paste. So you can see the buttons have been added. So now you can just click on this button and holding the control key, so just pull it down here. So you will get the replica of this. I've copied this, so here you can see there is no horizontal chain, so you can just add that. So select all this and then again right click, go to chains, create a horizontal chain. Okay, so now let's do it for other buttons also. So I have just pasted it, so then holding your control key and then just drag it below. So then after this just add again the horizontal chain. Now I've added this many buttons, but I have not added the constraints, so let's add that. So you can go to this second button and then just you can just uh, put a constraint to the top of the button. So you can do it to all the other buttons. Okay, so now after adding all these buttons, so let's give it an ID and then change this text so that we can add the number over them. So I will go here and I will name it as display, give an ID as display. So for this button let me give it as btn1 and I will change the text to 1. And then okay, so here like you need to have a, so I'll name this button as btn save. So we need to have a save button, and then this one I'll name it as, okay, so this one I'll name it as a call button, so btn call. And also you need a button to remove the digits, so I will name it as button btn remove and I will give it as x. Okay, so rest of the numbers are like the so rest of the buttons you can give the numbers. So let's add that. Now I have added all these buttons, so let's see how it looks on the phone. Okay, so here you can see the UI design. So I have added all this, but I have added all these buttons, and then like this button is for calling and this is for the save part. And now let's add this functionality, like whenever we click on this, so a text should be displayed over here, so we'll do that. Okay, so now let's go into this main activity, and first let us create all the objects that we need. So here we are having all this button and one text view, so first we'll do that. So if you go here, so here if you can, here you can see the, yeah, so we have to create this edit text object for the display. After this you are having buttons. Now I have created all these buttons, button object from 1 to 0, and then I have also created buttons for calling, saving, and the star button, the hash button, and also the remove button. So all these buttons here, call, hash, star, and all this. Okay, so after creating this button, so now let's do the find view by id, and then we'll assign values to this. So first take the, okay, so first let me take the button 0, or else you can do something like do find view by id, then go to r dot id dot button 0, and then you can assign this to button 0. So similar thing you have to do with rest of the buttons. So I am having one, and I do it as this thing, and also yeah, so similar thing do with the rest of the button. So we'll change that. Added all this button, like I have done this find view by id for all the buttons and also for these buttons. Okay, so now we have to do the display. Okay, so after doing this, so now let's uh, set a listener onto this button, so that whenever I click on this one or any other buttons, so its value should be seen over here, like the whatever you type over here, it should be shown on this display screen. Okay, for that okay, so you can take the 0th button btn 0 and you can do the set on click listener. Inside this, pass a view, new view, and in here, so you can do something like you can take the display object which you have created and then set text to, okay, so we have clicked on 0, so add 0. So similarly do with btn1, and okay, so instead of set text, like you can do this thing, you have to do append, because like it has to get added like one after other. So don't do the set text, so just use append method. Okay, so now let's finish it for other buttons also. Now I have added a listener property onto all the buttons. So let's see like how it looks. Now you can see like whenever I click on this, click on any of the buttons, so it gets added. Okay, so we have not added to these two buttons like star and hash, so we'll do that. And yeah, so like after adding this, so whenever I click on this call, so it must be redirected to the dial pad, so where I can actually click on the call button. So we'll see that now how we can do that. Now let me add those two buttons, so like star and the hash. So I'll take the star button, set on click listener, new view, and inside I'll just append this star symbol. Similar thing with the hash button. Okay, so now doing these two buttons, so then here, okay, so here like on click of this call button, it should be redirected to the dial pad. So let's see how we can do that. So here what I'll do is I will take the call button, and again I will add a listener onto that. Okay, so here what should happen is, so from this main activity it should get redirected to the dial pad. Okay, so for doing this, like for moving from one page to another, so you can again make use of the intent class which the Android provides. So for that you can do something like, first of all you can create its new object of this intent. Now if I go to this intent class, so here if you can, so here intent will basically provide a lot of inbuilt variables and built functions like which you can use. So one of them which we'll be using to open the dial pad is something like one second. So here if you scroll up, so you can get the intent class. Okay, so here you can see the intent class. So for example, like it is having all these strings. So along with it, along with this many, so like there are all these variables like action mean, so which will return you a type of string, so it's a static variable. So similarly, so there are these many variables, like all these are having some of the tasks, some of the specific tasks which they are assigned to do. So here, so now what I want is, so I want to open the dial pad, right? So for opening that dial pad, so there is a inbuilt variable. uh, so it is basically, so if you know to call that, you will do something like intent dot action dial. So this action dial is a variable, so which will return you something which is of the type int. So since it's a static variable, so this is a static variable, so that's why I am using the class name. So class name here is the intent, and from that class name I am calling this static variable. So I'm doing intent dot action dial. So whenever I do intent dot action dial, so here if you read this document, so here you can see it will dial a specified number by the data, and it will show that and it shows a UI with the number being dialed. So it's basically like whatever you type in here, whatever number that you type in here, so that number will be redirected to the dial pad. So in that dial pad you can see the number, and then you can make the call. So that is what this action dial will do. So we'll be directly using this variable so to perform the operations. So yeah, so now if I go to this intent, so before like it was opening, so if I just remove this, and again if I go like, see, so here it was an empty construct, so it was just a empty instance of this intent, right? So but now I'm passing in a uh, so now I'm using, so now if I do this, so like if now I go to this intent, so you can see, so intent is taking this variable, like, so intent is basically is overridden, like, so here you are using the name of the function is the same, but inside parameters that you are passing is different. So there you are not passing any of the parameters, but here you are passing a parameter which is of the type string. So it's basically this. So now you are making use of this specific intent method. So so like it's a constructor, so you are making use of this constructor, not the empty constructor. So yeah, so there are a lot of constructors, like, so there are a lot of constructors with different parameters so that you can override those. So now in this case we will be using a constructor which overrides this string, or which uses the string as its parameter. Okay, so now, yeah, so now we have created this new object. So what it will do is it will redirect you to the dial pad. So I'll just assign it to a new intent variable. Okay, so now after this, uh, you need to pass the number, right? So whatever you type in here, that number you have to pass. So for that, first let us get that number. So in order to get the number, you can do something like, you can take the display. So in that you can do get the text, and you can convert it to the string, and here this thing you can assign it to the new variable called as new string variable called as data. Okay, so now we have got this data. So this thing you have to pass to the dial pad. So in order to pass to the dial pad, you have a method called, so if you use this intent object, so in this there is a method called set data. So if you go to the set data, so here you can see set data will take something called as URI. So URI stands for Uniform Resource Identifier. So it basically identifies the resources which are being used. For example, now you will be using the dial pad of the phone, right? So now it will act as a, so here if you read, so uh, okay, so here it says that this class performs little to no validation. Like now you will be using the dial pad, right? So now in the dial pad, what data will go, so that's an integer type of data. For example, you will only be passing in the phone numbers, right? So all those like verifications, and also allocating the resources, so that thing is done by using this URI class. So here you will be passing that. So I'll do something like URI. So in this, so I'll be passing in the number, right? So that's why I have to give something like URI dot parse. So since I'll be passing the number, you have to tell that like you are passing a phone number or a telephone number. So that's why inside this parse you need to pass in a string which will specify like this is what I want to verify. So in order to do that, so now I'll be passing the phone number. So that's why I have to give something like tel, tel. So then, so after this, so inside this, so your actual data. So actual data you have got here, right? So whatever you have entered, so that thing you have to pass here. Yeah. So okay, so now basically what you have done is, so this thing will open up your dial pad. So inside this you have to pass in the number. For that purpose you are using this. Now here you are using the set data. So in order to set the data to whatever number you are using. So in order to specify that it's a telephone number, so that's why you will be using this URI.parse, and you will use this tel method. So this tel to say that like it's a telephone number. So yeah, so that's why you are using this URI.parse, then tel, and then you are adding this data. So this data which you have entered. Okay, so now your intent object will contain all these things, like it contains this dial pad. So it will tell that it contains this dial pad and also the data. So now we can directly start the activity using start activity method. So inside this you can pass your intent object. Okay, so this was for the call button, like the calling part. So now let's run it and see. So here I got error when I was running. So because you have to specify like tel along with a colon. Okay, so this thing you have to take care of. So now if I run, now if I dial and when I click on call, so it will redirect me to this page. So this is the dial pad, and here you will get the data which you have passed. And when you click on this call button, so you can make the call. So yeah, so this was the first part. So then, so now we'll see the save button. So on click of the save button, the contact should get saved. Let's see the save button. So just take the save button and add a listener onto that. Then in here, what you have to do is, so now what should happen is like on click of the save, so you should get redirected to the contact form. So contact form in the sense like where you will put your name, number, email, and all the other details. So in order to save a contact. So again for this, you have to make use of the intent. So but let me write it first, so then I'll explain it. So take this intent. So in this intent, you have to pass something like contacts contract. So in that you have to pass again intents. So in that you have to do insert, and then you can do action. Okay, so now let's see like what it is. So if you go to this contacts contract, so you can see, so this is a class. So in this class you will be using something called as intent. Okay, so again, so intent is again a static class. So this static class is containing a lot of static variables. So these static variables are having a meaning. Each of them are having a different purpose. So here we'll be using a variable called as insert. Sorry, in this intents class, so there is a another class called as insert. So it's a static class. So inside this insert, there is a variable called as action. Okay, so what does this action do is, so it will do something like intent dot action insert. So now if I go to this action insert, so again you can see, so action insert is a string variable, so static string variable. So here if you read this, so you can see, so it will insert an empty item into a given container. So what will be its input? Input is a okay, input like any of the data which you pass, and it will return you URI of the new data that was created. So what basically it will do is, so it will insert the values into an empty object, so then it will return the reference to that object. Okay, so yeah, so here I'll be using that. So I'm doing something like, okay, I'm using this class called contacts contract. So contacts contract is like see now you are having your this app, right, this phone dialer app, but inside in your phone, like there is already an existing tool which will help you to add contacts or help you to call call using the numbers which you have passed, right? So now contacts contract will basically acts as a middleman between these two, like your app and the already present tool for contact saving or contact calling. So yeah, so that's why you are using this contacts class. So contacts contract is like an uh, uh, interface between your phone dialer app and the already existing tool which is present. So that's contacts contract. So in the contacts contract you are having this class called as intents. So that's a static class, so which is present inside this contacts contact. So therefore you are using the class name dot this intents class. Okay, so inside this intent, so there is something called as insert. So again, insert is a class, right? So inside this insert there is this action variable. So for using this action variable, so here you can see again the action code to use when adding a contact. So like whenever you want to add a contact, you have to make use of this variable. For making use of this variable, you are making all this, okay, like this much, this big line. So you are going to this context class. Why you are going, because you have to access this static class, because inside this static class there is another static class called as insert. So inside this insert, so there is a variable called as action. This action variable, so here you can see the action code to use when adding a contact. Like from, if you use this variable, you can add the contact into the contacts list. Okay, so for using this variable you are doing you are writing all these lines. Okay, so after getting this, so now you have not passed in any data, so let us see that how you can do it. So now after getting this, just assign it to a intent variable, intent object. Okay, okay, so now after specifying this, so then you need to pass in the data, right? So like whatever data you pass, so it should go and store somewhere, like it has to go and store. So in this case it will go and store itself in a table. So table is nothing but like it will be having several columns. So columns, like each of the columns will be having names such as first name, last name, and then your phone number, or it can have your email address and all those, like all the basic information like a contact will have. Okay, so all these are basically represented in terms of a column, and here each row will represent a unique contact value. Okay, so now you need that table, right? So now here you can, for that table you can make use of, again you can make use of the intent object which you have created. So in that there is something called set type. So now in this set type you need to make use of the contacts contact. So in this class there is this raw contacts. So raw contacts is again a class. So basically this class will provide you that table structure. So table structure where all your contacts will be placed. Okay, so in this raw contact, so there is something called as content type. So yeah, so if you go to this content type is a static string. So this content type, what it will do, so here if you see, so when a specific id value is not provided and multiple raw contact may be returned, like what generally it means is, so now it will, now the values will be stored in a table, right? So now each of these row are identified by a primary key. Okay, primary key in the sense like a unique id is used to identify. So this content type will basically see whether this contact information which you are adding will is already present in that table. So if it is present, so it will ask something like add to existing contact, or create a new contact, something like that, right? So basically that work is done using this content type variable. So now we have to use this variable. That's why we'll be doing contacts contact. So this is the class. So in that there is one more class called as raw contacts. So in the raw contact there is a variable called as content type. So so basically what this line will do is it will help us to put data into into the row. Okay, so after setting this intent, so the type of the intent, like this raw contact table which we want to use, so then you can just pass in your data. So data in the sense like whatever number you have. So first of all get the data. So you can just do the same thing. So get it from the display field. Okay, so then now to pass in the data, you can do, first of all, let us pass the phone number. For passing the phone number, you can just take this intent object. So in that you can use this method called put extra. Okay, so here you want to set the field of the phone as whatever data you have, right? So first of all, you need to get the phone numbers field. So for that, again, you can make use of this contacts contract. So in that you can again you make use of this intents. So again in that you are having this insert. So now you are trying to insert the phone number. So that's why you will give something like phone. So if you go to this phone, so again you can see, so phone is basically a string, static string variable. So here you can see the extra field for the contact phone number, means like the, so there is a form. So in that form, in order to fill this field, so you can just pass in the place like where you want to pass the data or where you want to set the actual phone number. For that, that's why you will be making use of this contacts contract dot intents dot insert dot phone. So similar thing you have done it over here. Like there you wanted to use the dial pad, so that's why you have passed in the action variable. But here you want to set the phone number, that's why you are passing in this static phone variable. Okay, so now in this place you need to set the data. So that's why comma can just pass in your data. So this data is nothing but your phone number. So that thing you are placing in this object. Now along with this phone number, you can just pass in the name. So again for that you can make use of this intent, then put extra. So in this you can again make use of this contacts contract dot intents dot insert. So now you want name, right? So that's why you give dot name. So now just pass in a default value. So I'll pass it as unknown. Okay, so now after putting this to data value into your intent object, you can just start the activity by passing in the intent. Start activity, pass your intent object. Okay, so let me just quickly go through like what we have done. So one click of the save button, first of all you are creating this action. So this action variable, so you are making use of this action variable so that you can add a contact. Okay, so now like where that contact has to be stored, so that thing is given using this raw contact. So raw contact, you can imagine it as a table. So in that table you are basically specifying like, so you are specifying like this, so you are making use of this variable and you are specifying like if there is any extra, like so if you are adding a new contract, then make it as a separate id and then place, or else just give something like add to existing contacts and all those. So that's why you are giving like this, you are setting its type to raw contact dot content type. Then in here you are passing in the data which you want to insert. So then you are starting this activity using the passing the intent object. Okay, so we have completed this much, so let's run this and see. Okay, so now I have installed the app on my phone, so let's see the demo. So it looks like this, and here if I type a number and if I click on save. Okay, so now it will redirect you to this page. So here you can see the phone number which you have entered, and also like here in the first name you can see it has unknown. So because you have, so in the program you have set it as unknown. Yeah, and now if I click on the save button, so the contact will be saved. And if I want to add it to the existing contact, so it will do that. So like this is your general add to contact form. So now your data has been redirected to this page. So let's see what else is remaining. Okay, so now one more thing that is left is the this delete button. So like whenever I click on this, so I must be able to remove one text or one digit from the uh, end side or the back side. Okay. So let's see how we can do that. So in the main activity, you have created the button remove. So yeah, so this is the button. So this button, one click of this, we'll write the function for it. So just take the button
add a listener, pass in the wave. Okay, so and in here what you want is, so now for example you are having this number. Okay, so now you are having this number. So now when I click on the that button remove, like on the remove button, so I want, so your cursor will be here, so I want this 2 to be get removed. Similarly 9 6 like this, so one digit it should be removed from the string. So yeah, so first of all, like first let us get the string value which we have on the screen. So for that, just you can do this. You can just take the value from the display field and store it in this data variable. Okay, so now what I'll do is, so for this data, so I can apply a method called substring. So if I go to the substring, so here you can see like so there are these two. So the one which takes two parameter and which takes a single parameter. So choose the second one which takes two parameters. So in this, if you see here, so you can see there is a beginning index and an end index. Okay, so what does it specify is, so if we just read here, so it specifies that the beginning index, so it will be included, so it's included, and the ending index is exclusive, so means the end index is not taken. For example, now, so see, so now I have this number, so its index will be like 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9. So there are 10 digits. So now we are having indexes from 0 to 9. So what I'll do is, so first I will pass in the first index. So first index is like the beginning index, so here it should start from 0, and then it has to move till the end. Okay, so till the end in the sense throughout the, like, to the throughout the length of the data. So in order to get that, so what I can do is I can take the data and I can do something like length, data dot length. Okay, so if you do data dot length, what you will get is you will get uh, like how much length it has. So basically it is having its length as 10, so you will get 0 to 10. So so what you can do is, so now I don't want this ninth index, right? So I don't want this ninth element, I want the ninth element to be removed. So I want only from 0 to 0 to 8. So what I'll do is I'll take the data dot length, so I'll get 10. I'll do minus 1. So if I do minus 1, I will get something like from 0 to 9. Okay, so as we saw there, so from 0 it will start from 0 and it will go till the 8th, because ninth it will ninth index element it won't consider. So that's why we'll get only this many digits, like only the first 8 digits. Okay, so yeah, so that was the substring method. So one thing you have to remember is, so the index value, so it will not include the end index, so it will just stop in the beginning of that. Okay, so we have done this data dot substring from 0 to data dot length minus 1. So then so this thing will return you a string, so just store it in a string variable, and you can now assign this variable, like you can assign this value onto the screen, onto the display field. Okay, so yeah, so now here, okay, so this is the main part. So now if you can add a check condition here, so like if the data dot length is okay, one second, so here you add a check condition, so that if data dot length is greater than 0, so then only do this method, or else like whenever you click on the remove buttons, you can just set the text as null. So display, take this display, set text to this empty string. Okay, so we have done this much. So on click of the remove button, so you are taking this data and then you are checking whether its length is greater than, you will do something like data dot substring. So inside you will pass the starting index, that is 0, and the end index. So here, and in the end index will always be the length of your data at -1. So it won't include this value, so it will just stop to the previous values. If you have 9, so it will stop at 8. So yeah, so you are getting that value and then you are displaying it onto the screen. So if your data is not having anything, so if it is the length of this is less than 0 or it's 0, so then you are basically setting it to another value, empty string. So let's run this and see. Okay, so now if I type something, so I will type 1 2 3 and then I click on this delete button. So you can see that the end element is getting deleted. And so now if I click on call, so it redirects me to this page. And this was your 8th lab program, so that's a phone dialer application.